We know that when you're relaxed, you swim a whole lot better. So in this video, I want to show you through a 3-step process or 3 drills you can go through to become a more fluent and a more relaxed swimmer. And that's not only going to help you swim faster, but it can be a way that's going to help you swim much further for a lot less effort. So let's take a look at these 3 things that can help you become a more relaxed swimmer. Now you might have seen the video we did last week on Lucas Voigt. I'll put a link above if you haven't yet. What you will have noticed in that incredible Ironman swim that he did, he looked very relaxed as he did it. Now obviously there's some output there, but he just managed to just look relaxed the whole way. And swimming's really that dichotomy of relaxation and tension. It's finding that balance between the two, because obviously we do need to put in some effort in order to hold the water and move through it. But if you can stay as relaxed as possible through that process, then that's when you're probably going to find your heart rate stays lower, you move a whole lot better, and you're probably going to enjoy your swimming a whole lot more. Now, over the course of the last 12 years that I've been coaching, what we've found is that there's a couple of things that can make a big difference with helping you stay relaxed in the water. So the first thing that we'll sometimes start with is just the recovery, which is when your arm comes over the top of the water. Now, in this part of the stroke, sometimes people are very tense as they move over the top. And if we see that your hand and your forearm is really stiff and tense as you're coming through, it's probably wasted effort, because that tension isn't going to help you move forwards. What we want to try and do in the recovery is we want to relax the hand and forearm to a point where it feels a little bit more like it's your maybe elbow leading the way, or like your deltoid is sort of helping initiate that recovery. So one of the things that we try and aim for usually with that recovery, and I'm talking more about like middle to long distance swimmers here, not necessarily sprinters, is we want to keep the hand and the forearm somewhat relaxed. Now, if you have followed this channel for a while, you'll know that I'm not necessarily a huge advocate for most adults to recover really close to their body, because it can take a pretty reasonable amount of mobility through the shoulders to get there. And a lot of the athletes that I've worked with don't have that. So what can be a good approach to having a nice recovery and a relaxed recovery is to just keep the hand that little bit wider than what you might expect. Now, a drill that I quite like here is fingertip drag drill with a twist. So the twist is you're just going to go a little bit wider with the hand. So as you go through this fingertip drag drill, you're going to drag those fingers on the water, and in order to do it, you've got to keep that hand loose and floppy and relaxed as you do it. You've got to feel as though you're leading the way a little bit with this elbow. Imagine a piece of string attached to it. Someone's pulling that forwards, and that's at least initiating the first part of the recovery. And then just keep that hand away from the body a bit as you drag the fingertips forwards. Now, there's nothing necessarily wrong with fingertip drag, but closer to the body. But I find that, as I said, for most adults, you're probably better off going that little bit wider. So that can be the first step at having a recovery that is relaxed, is developing that. Now, it might be worthwhile wearing fins and wearing a snorkel as you're doing that, because that's going to take out the breathing, and that's just going to sit you nice and high in the water and just allow you to focus and concentrate on that more relaxed recovery. So that's step 1, a relaxed recovery. Now, the second point to that is we want to make sure that we're entering in the right position. And the right position is where the fingertips are going first and the elbow is up a little bit. So it creates this triangle kind of shape there upon entry. So if you can enter the water there, instead of reaching out as far as you can possibly go, where you may land with your elbow first. So if you can land fingertips first, then all you need to do from there is just straighten the arm. And you'll actually often hear this little bit of a slap with the elbow. It'll just sort of slap down on the water.
Shh, just listen.
It's not like you're necessarily trying to spear the water all the way through. Now, a really good drill for that is just entry drill with a kickboard. And that's where you can have fins on, grab a kickboard, and you're just going to swim one arm freestyle. But that kickboard's going to force you to enter fingertips first, because if you go too far, you're going to hit the kickboard and it's not going to allow you to enter correctly. So that's step 2 at swimming more relaxed. All right, number 1, we got relaxed in that recovery. hand and forearm should be somewhat relaxed. Number 2, make sure we enter in the right position with the fingers first and the elbow somewhat up. Now, if you're wondering, like, where should I enter with my hand? The way I'd think of it would be if you had your arm out in front of you out here, it'd be somewhere from about almost like your knuckles through to about your elbow. So anywhere in that sort of range is where we'd want to enter in terms of where your other arm is. So that's step 2. Now, the next part of that is the reach phase, when the hand's reaching forwards out in front. And often there's sort of 2 things that we see that happens here. Some people, they don't know that they actively need to reach forward and extend before they start the catch. They think they've got to pull immediately through. But if you look at it in terms of like your profile in the water, when you're reaching forwards, that's when you're most streamlined. So you're going to get some pretty decent speed in that position because you're creating the least amount of drag in that position there. So it's okay to actually think of it as perhaps extending or like rotating forwards as you're going through that part. But the key to doing this well is make sure you do it at the right depth. So often I'll get asked, where should my hand be when I'm reaching forwards? It's definitely not up at the surface because that's going to increase the drag when the hand's up super high, and it's not down too low. So usually where you'll see most elite swimmers is it's like fingertips at about shoulder depth, or you might even think of that as like arms completely straight under the water. So you typically we want fingers just below wrist just below the elbows, very slight downwards angle there. But again, the key to doing this well is try and have that little bit of relaxation through the arm as you're going through it. Now, you're going to start to begin the catch just after it. So you will obviously need a bit of tension there, but you're so much better off if you can just feel like pretty relaxed through there as you're reaching forwards, as opposed to having a lot of tension. Because not only will you be able to feel a lot, save a bit of energy, but it's going to help you set up the catch so much better if you're quite relaxed. And typically when I get in the water and I'm going through warm up, with my hands, with my fingers, as I'm reaching forwards, I'm trying to feel pretty loose. And that way I find I just develop or generate that feel for the water a whole lot better and set myself up well for the session if I can keep that happening. So in order to sort of go for that, to get that, I do quite like this drill here. It's called 2-stroke switch with paddle. So if you put a paddle on your hand, preferably a flat paddle, then you can kick on the side, and it's best to wear fins for most people. Kick on the side, and then you can take 2 strokes and you'll swap to the other side. Now, the reason that we do this drill is it's going to force you to have your hand at the right depth. Because with that paddle, it's obviously a lot more drag that gets created if the hand's in the wrong position. So if your hand is up too high, you're going to feel it. It's going to have a lot of drag created. It's going to feel like it's sending you backwards or at least slowing you down. If your hand's down too low, similar thing. So that's why I think this 2-stroke switch with paddle can be a good like self-coaching drill to make sure you're in the right position, because a lot of people don't have a coach there to look at them. So you might just be, say, doing that drill without a paddle, but you won't necessarily know if you're in the right position unless you're looking at it. But this paddle will give you a pretty good indication as to whether or not you're at the right depth to start your catch. So if you were to follow that process, you might do, let's say it was like 250s of wide fingertip drag drill, and then 250s of the kickboard entry drill, and then you might just do 250s, one with the paddle on your left hand, one with the paddle on your right hand for that 2-stroke switch with paddle drill. And that might set you up really nicely as part of your warm-up, and then you could just go into the rest of the session. And if you find that you start to feel a bit more relaxed with that, then perhaps you might want to practice that or do that for a week or 2 until you feel like you've improved that part of your stroke. So that's one way that you can use to help just make your swimming feel a whole lot more relaxed. Now, if you've got any questions on that, put it down below. If you get a chance to try it, let me know. Keen to hear how you progress with it. And if you are looking to improve your swimming, I work with people on a daily basis inside our Effortless Swimming membership. So you can check out the details there. There's a 2-week free trial, so you can test it out, see if it's what you're looking for in terms of some structure about improving your technique. And as I said, I'm there on a daily basis answering questions and interacting with swimmers there. So thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a like and subscribe if you haven't. It's how we get to reach more people. And I'll see you next week with another video.